Lamine Yamal is no longer a promise. He is a reality.
Se va Lamine buscando el remate desde ahí. ¡Hola! ¡Fue espectacular! La rosca, marca de la casa de ese genio de 17 años.
A reality so shocking it almost feels made up. In a sport where records are harder than ever to break, this kid has shattered every timeline in world football. At just 17 years old, Lamine Yamal has not only debuted, not only shined, he has dominated. He's changed games, destroyed legendary rivals, and forced the entire football world to pay attention. At 17, Lamine Yamal is already a legend in the making. His rise has no precedent. Comparing him to Messi, Cristiano, or Ronaldo Nazario isn't exaggeration. It's fair. And what's even crazier, Lamine is already beating their records at youth level. Youngest to score in a Clásico. Youngest to win a European Championship. Youngest to score in a Euro semi-final. Youngest player in history to already have 2 La Liga titles. And most impressively, he played a key role in all 4 victories over Real Madrid this season, not just as a bystander, but as a protagonist.
Vuelta Ferran, tiene Lamine Yamal, le va a pegar.
But it's not just about the numbers, it's the way he plays, the confidence with which he takes on defenders. Calmness in big moments.
Enfrente la marca de Mkhitaryan, va a ingresar al área, le va a pegar de zurda de golazo!
The swagger, the good kind, that lets him stare legends in the face without blinking. He doesn't hide, he doesn't pass the ball out of fear. He wants it, he demands it, he transforms it. And with every game, every goal, every dribble, the message is clearer.
Ci ha creato tanti problemi Yamal, che chiaramente è un talento che nascono ogni 50 anni, dei talenti così non l'avevo mai visto dal vero, l'ho visto stasera per la prima volta e ci ha creato problemi, l'abbiamo raddoppiato, triplicato, poi ci mancavano giocatori da altre parti del campo.
The future of football is here and his name is Lamine Yamal, even the greatest in history and the best players today admit it.
La verdad que impresionante lo que demuestra, lo que está haciendo, lo que hizo, ya fue campeón de
y lo ves ahora que como que va creciendo y va siendo un poco más atrevido. Al principio era como que se la tenía que dar a otro, a Lewandowski, por ejemplo.
Normal, tiene 17 años todavía, ¿no? Está en un proceso de crecimiento también y yo creo que va a crecer todavía aún más como jugador y le va a ir agregando cosas a su juego, como inicié yo, él también inició por derecha, quizá en unos años termina jugando de otra manera también, pero no hay duda que tiene unas condiciones bárbaras y que hoy por hoy ya es uno de los mejores del mundo.
Just to see what one of the greatest players has played, what he thinks about the next generation coming now to take over the crown maybe at some point, like the likes of Lamine Yamal.
I believe that they're going to do it. They're going to be the best players for this new generation.
Inzaghi, Messi, Ferdinand, Cristiano Ronaldo, Thierry Henry, all have praised him. Because they know how rare Lamine Yamal is. At this age, how does a 15-year-old still a youth player become the biggest hope for a giant club like Barcelona? How does someone who just debuted 2 seasons ago already enter serious conversations for the Ballon d'Or? Lamine's story isn't just a rise, it's an anomaly. His talent is so advanced, it's as if someone fast-forwarded destiny. And yeah, some even joke, there's only one explanation. Messi must be his dad. Okay, Messi isn't Lamin's real father, but his story begins with a symbol, a real photo, almost prophetic. A 2007 UNICEF campaign. Messi is helping Sheila Ebana, Lamin's mum, while baby Lamin sits in a bath. Back then it was just a cute photo. Today it feels mythical, the greatest of all time unknowingly holding the boy who could inherit his throne. Lamin grew up with Barca in his veins and Messi as his obsession. At La Masia, everyone called him the different one. He chased Messi everywhere, on the pitch and on YouTube. In 2019, at just 11 years old, people already compared him to number 10.
A recibir Lamine Yamal, tomando la responsabilidad, tira Lamine, qué golazo, qué golazo, gol de Lamine Yamal, pero qué clase tiene este chico. Pero vaya zurdo, gol mesiánico de Lamine Yamal.
Funny thing, in 2020, he was doing unboxing videos.
Ahora bienvenidos a un nuevo vídeo. Estamos aquí en un nuevo vídeo del primo Ryan y vamos a hacer un unboxing.
Just 5 years ago, he was still playing seven-a-side football. Now, he dominates elite European football. It feels like he's been in the game for a decade. His calmness, his tactical IQ, his boldness. But the truth is, just 2 years ago, Lamine was 15 and already training with the Barcelona first team. He never played for Barca B, he hadn't even signed a pro contract yet. But Xavi Hernandez saw him and didn't hesitate. This kid can't wait. On April 29th, 2023, in a league match against Betis, Lamine stepped onto the pitch and became the youngest player ever to debut with Barcelona's first team. He was only 15 years, 9 months and 16 days old. An absolutely ridiculous record. But the most unbelievable part wasn't that. The crazy part is what came next. After making his debut with the first team, Rafa Marquez called him up to play with Barca Athletic, and he became the youngest player ever to debut with the B team as well. In other words, Lamine did the impossible before doing the expected. He reached the top without taking the stairs. That was the real start of everything, the moment that changed his story forever, the point of no return. Just a few weeks later, without even turning 16, Lamine Yamal already had his first trophy. He was a La Liga champion in 2022/2023 with FC Barcelona. But he didn't even get to celebrate with the team. While the rest were popping bottles, Lamine was already training with the Spanish national team, getting ready to represent his country, a sign of what his life would become. Growing up, competing, and winning, all at once. When he came back, the world wasn't the same anymore, but Lamine acted like it was. He returned to Barca like nothing had changed, like pressure didn't exist, like elite football was just another day in school. The 2023/2024 season was just starting, and Xavi already knew there was no way to keep this kid on the bench. The real warning came during the Joan Gamper Trophy match, the first serious game of pre-season. The opponent, Tottenham. Barca were down 1-2 with just 10 minutes left. Montjuic was losing hope, until Lamine came on. With just a few touches, he completely destroyed the right wing like it was a video game. He dribbled past defenders like it was nothing. He assisted Ferran Torres for the equaliser, then helped in the next 2 goals by Ansu Fati and Abde to complete the comeback. In just 10 minutes, Lamine Yamal had taken over the match, and the headlines the next day were all about him. The comparisons came quickly. His performance reminded fans of Messi's legendary Gamper game against Juventus. But with one huge difference, Lamine did it at just 16 years old. This wasn't marketing, this wasn't hype, this was real, and no one could stop what had just begun. What Lamine Yamal did in his first full season as a professional can only be described with one word: chilling. At just 16 years old, he finished the season with 7 goals and 10 assists. Yes, the numbers are great, but what truly amazed people was how he got them. Beyond the stats, what stood out was his reading of the game, his ability to always make the best decision, and his deadly precision in the final third. He didn't play like a teenager, he played like a veteran, with peripheral vision and ice in his veins. He quickly earned the trust of Xavi Hernandez, who didn't hesitate to start him in important matches, even ahead of more experienced players. But Lamine wasn't there as a favour from La Masia. He wasn't there because of nostalgia or romantic ideas. He was there because he was simply the best option. And of course, that led to the inevitable. Comparisons with Lionel Messi. He's left-footed. He's from La Masia, he has incredible vision. He can change a match with one move. Even Xavi himself said it in a press conference.
Es totalmente diferente. Cualquiera que se ha comparado con Messi ha salido perdiendo, ¿no? No es bueno que lo comparemos con Messi, pero sí que es verdad que hay momentos pues, que además es zurdo, cerrado, va para adentro y te la mete por la escuadra, pues bueno, pues, da la sensación que tenemos flashes de Messi, pero no no es bueno la comparación porque al final vas a salir perdiendo. Estamos hablando del mejor futbolista de la historia de este deporte, ¿no? Mejor no compararlo.
And even though he meant it as a compliment, everyone knew that could become a curse. Because it had happened before. Bojan Krkić was the first to carry that burden, and it broke him. The pressure, the anxiety, the endless expectations, it all crushed him. Then came Ansu Fati, the direct heir to the number 10 shirt after Messi left. A brilliant talent, yes, but he was never able to escape the injuries or the weight of the legend. Today, Ansu is closer to leaving the club than to becoming one of its leaders. The next Messi curse is real, and yet Lamine Yamal seems immune to it. He's never compared himself. He's never let the pressure affect him.
Para que lo tenga él, en caso de que ya no esté y el Barça me lo ofrezca, siempre he dicho que mi sueño ha sido ese y que nunca diría.
Everything changed on August 20th, 2023. That night, Lamine Yamal started for the first time with FC Barcelona in a league match against Cadiz. He was spectacular. Dribbling, vision, calmness, electric moves. When he was subbed off 5 minutes before the end, the entire stadium stood up to applaud him. Montjuic exploded into a standing ovation, the kind that gives you goosebumps. The fans knew exactly what they were watching. This wasn't a promise, it was already a reality, and it wasn't a lucky day. In his next start, against Villarreal, he was the best player on the pitch. He created the goals for Gavi and Lewandowski, and led the team to a 4-3 comeback win. His performance was so dominant that he was named La Liga Player of the Month for August, something unheard of for a debutant. Just days later, he made his Champions League debut in the 5-0 win over Antwerp, and his importance in the team kept growing. FC Barcelona didn't waste any time. They renewed Lamine Yamal's contract until 2026 with a release clause of €1 billion, and his first Champions League start came against Porto. Everything was going perfectly, but one thing was still missing. His first goal. That moment finally came on October 8th in a 2-2 draw against Granada. Lamine scored his first official goal for the first team, and that shot didn't just break a mental barrier, it broke yet another record. Because if there's one thing that defines his career, it's this. Every step he takes becomes historic. In November, he played his first El Clasico. He came off the bench in a 2-1 loss, but the experience was another major milestone. He was even nominated for the 2023 Golden Boy Award, but couldn't attend the ceremony because he had school, a global football star still attending classes. On February 11th, 2024, he scored his first brace, again against Granada, and was named man of the match. Barcelona, however, started falling apart as a team. They dropped out of the title race and were eliminated from the Champions League by PSG, but Lamine was arguably the best player across the two legs, taking on world-class defenders and never backing down. And 2024 had started with yet another record. In the Spanish Super Cup, he scored a stunning goal from outside the box against Osasuna, becoming the youngest player to ever score in the competition. Later in the Copa del Rey quarter-finals against Athletic Club, he scored again. Barcelona lost 4-2, but Lamine became the youngest goal scorer in the history of that cup as well. At this point, he had already made 50 appearances for the first team. In La Liga, he was the youngest to debut, assist, score twice, and reach 10 goal contributions. In the Champions League, he was the second youngest to debut, the youngest to start, and the youngest to play in a knockout match. And still, he hadn't even turned 17. Lamine Yamal was already a sensation, but the moment he stopped being a promising talent and became a true football phenomenon was during the Euro 2024. On June 15th, in Spain's opening match against Croatia, he became the youngest player ever to play in the Euros. At just 16 years old, he didn't just play, he dominated. And in the 86th minute, he assisted Dani Carvajal to make it 3-0. That made him the youngest player to assist in Euros history. But that was just the beginning.
Íbamos a jugar una semifinal de Eurocopa y yo estaba cagado y él dormido. Y este chaval, ¿cómo puede dormirse antes de un partido tan importante?
Before the semi-final against France, Adrien Rabiot tried to get under Lamine's skin with some comments.
Mais je pense que ce sera à nous de lui mettre la pression surtout, voilà, d'être là, de lui montrer que de ne pas le laisser dans le confort et que pour pouvoir jouer une finale d'Euro, il faudra en faire bien plus que ce qu'il a fait jusqu'à présent.
But Lamine didn't respond with words, he responded with football. He scored an unbelievable left-footed goal from outside the box that flew into the top corner. It was voted the best goal of the entire tournament.
He dicho antes de empezar el partido, hoy va a ser tu día y vas a meter gol. Hoy iba a estar un poco flojo yo, pero mejor, mi hermano ha metido gol. Ha metido gol y qué, séalo.
And yes, he broke another record, youngest goal scorer in Euro history. France could only watch. And if that wasn't enough, Lamine ended the tournament as a hero. In the final against England, with everything on the line, he assisted Nico Williams for the first goal of the match. That made him the youngest player ever to contribute to a goal in a Euro final. He finished the tournament with 4 assists, another record, and was named Best Young Player of Euro 2024. But perhaps the most incredible stat of all, Lamine Yamal became the youngest player in history to win the European Championship. He did it at 17 years old, a kid by age, a giant in every action. And the most exciting part, he's only just getting started. The 2025 season arrived, and with it, a new conductor. Hansi Flick took charge of Barcelona. His arrival wasn't just a change in management, it was a complete shift in the club's identity. Flick didn't come to improvise, he came to revive Barca's DNA, that Cruyffist spirit that once made football a form of art. From day one of pre-season, he changed the culture, intense training sessions, demanding physical preparation, not to build gym athletes, but to forge warriors with brains, capable of pressing high like in the old days. Flick blended the best of the past and present. He kept the focus on possession, but injected speed, urgency and hunger. Barcelona no longer lulled games to sleep with endless touches. They devoured them. It looked more like Luis Enrique's team than that of Setien or even Xavi. This was a Barca that was lethal, electric and brutal. And the most beautiful part of it all, Lamine Yamal was shining with an ease that felt otherworldly. While all eyes were on Madrid, who had just signed Kylian Mbappe, the media didn't give Barca a single coin's worth of faith. They said the team had lost its identity. They said the Barca era was over. They were all wrong. From match day one, the team was a tactical and emotional steamroller. They crushed Valladolid 7-0, Girona 4-1, Villarreal 5-1, Alaves 3-0, Sevilla 5-1. In the Champions League, they erased Young Boys and even Bayern Munich from the map. But beyond the scorelines, what stood out was the football, the energy, the way the team gave everything in every minute of every match. The Camp Nou, temporarily Montjuic, was pounding again with life. Flick didn't just bring structure, he brought freedom, he brought belief. He gave direction, he made the team believe in itself. Players like Rafinha, Lewandowski, Pedri, and especially Lamine Yamal stepped into starring roles. The boy was no longer just a promise, he was the offensive engine of the best Barca in years. Then came October 26th. The first Clásico of the season, the match that changed everything. Barcelona visited the Santiago Bernabéu and turned it into a house of horrors. 0-4. No mercy, no doubts, no breaks. It was a historic humiliation, and it was tactical. Flick destroyed Ancelotti. He studied him like a thesis and executed like a German surgeon mid-operation. That day, Lamine Yamal scored a screamer and celebrated like Cristiano Ronaldo, right in front of the Bernabéu. A provocation, a statement, a masterpiece. After that historic 0-4 La Liga Clásico at the Bernabéu, Barcelona looked unstoppable. Everyone around the club was talking about a new golden era, about Flick's tactical revolution, about the overwhelming dominance of a young, hungry, vertical team. But football offers no mercy, and just when Barca seemed most confident, the storm hit. November and December were an absolute nightmare. Barca hit a slump. They lost to Real Sociedad, drew against Celta Vigo, fell to Las Palmas, shared points with Betis, and were shocked by Leganés. The final straw came with a 2-1 defeat to Atletico Madrid. From being top of the table, they dropped to third, behind a Real Madrid that was slowly finding form. While Barca crumbled, Madrid began to rise. Kylian Mbappe started proving why he was the biggest signing of the decade. He began scoring, leading the team, becoming the decisive player everyone expected. The Bernabeu was dreaming again, and Tmain and Mbappe was the symbol of that hope. On top of that, Szczęsny had taken the starting spot from Iñaki Peña, and Madrid finally looked balanced. Everything pointed to them taking the Supercopa. Then came the second Clásico, the final of the Spanish Super Cup, and although everyone expected a more balanced match than the first, the reality was very different. Madrid, with Mbappe in a moment of grace, struck first. The Frenchman opened the scoring with a pure instinct goal, and for a moment it seemed like the story was about to change. But then, Lamine Yamal appeared. With the composure of a veteran and the talent of a chosen one, he activated anomaly mode. He took on defenders, broke lines, fired, and equalised with an impossible goal, the kind that makes you jump out of your seat, even if you're not a Barca fan. It was Messi in 2007. It was Ronaldinho at the Bernabeu. It was Lamine Yamal taking control of history. And that goal was just the beginning. What followed was a tactical and emotional massacre. Barca steamrolled Madrid with brutal intensity. Rafinha joined the feast, Pedri dictated the tempo, the defence became a wall, and Flick's high pressing left Madrid with no way out. 5-2. Absolute humiliation, a second consecutive victory for Barca over their eternal rivals. Another harsh wake-up call for Florentino's Galactico project. From that Super Cup onwards, something ignited within Lamine Yamal. It wasn't just a spark, it was a wildfire that never went out. He became the guiding light of FC Barcelona in every critical moment, in every decisive match, in every competition that demanded blood, character, and genius. If Barca has risen this season, it's because Lamine rose first. In the Champions League, his impact was overwhelming. Against Benfica, he was a storm. Assists, dribbles, chaos. Against Dortmund, he was a nightmare for the Germans, involved in every dangerous play that took the team to the semi-finals for the first time in 6 years. The last time, Messi was still wearing Blaugrana. In that semi-final against Inter Milan, Yamal once again carried the team on his back. He was a flash of hope in the middle of an Italian tactical storm. His goal, his lightning dribble.
Enfrente la marca de Mkhitaryan, va a ingresar al área, le va a pegar de zurda de ¡golazo!
His ability to create from nothing allowed Barca to tie the match and keep dreaming. Inter, the team with the fewest goals conceded in the tournament, conceded 6 goals to Barca in a memorable tie. But destiny, sometimes cruel, had other plans. The final wasn't meant for this Barca, not this season.
No es infracción. Dumfries tiró la pelota abajo. ¡Gol! ¡Gol!
And Lamine's face, exhausted, crouching at the end of the match, said it all. They gave everything, but it wasn't enough. However, his story didn't end there, because in the Copa del Rey, he was once again the architect of glory. 6 assists, 2 goals, and a sublime performance in the grand final against Real Madrid. 2 key assists, including one to Ferran Torres to seal the match, and another to Koundé in extra time. The cup was Blaugrana, and the MVP was 17 years old. While all of Europe talked about Barca, in La Liga, the machine kept moving without breaks. Flick's team hasn't lost a single match in 2025. 16 games, 14 wins, 2 draws, and in every single one of them, one constant. Lamine Yamal is the soul of the comeback. He was the one who broke Atletico Madrid with a magical play. He was the one who erased Borja Iglesias' hat-trick against Celta by turning the game around. He was the one who tore Madrid apart in the second league Clásico with a historic goal. And it was him, the 17-year-old kid, who scored the first goal of matchday 36 against Espanyol. The goal that sealed the league title for Barcelona. A goal that wasn't just another stat, it was the confirmation of a historic domestic treble, Spanish Super Cup, Copa del Rey, and La Liga. And yes, there was a brilliant coach, a renewed tactical system, a committed squad, but if there's one name that ties all those trophies together, it's Lamine Yamal. Because every title, every comeback, every magical night had his signature. Because what this kid is doing no longer belongs to the realm of normal. This is already living legend. And at this point, the numbers speak for themselves. Lamine Yamal finished the season with 17 goals and 25 assists, 42 direct goal contributions in total, a figure that would be insane for any player, let alone someone who hasn't even turned 18. But beyond the stats, what's truly overwhelming is when and how he showed up. He delivered when Barca needed him the most, on dark nights, in cagey matches, in Clásicos that seemed out of reach. Lamine never hid. In every high-stakes moment, in every final, in every comeback, his name was the first to appear. His skill, his mentality, his ice-cold composure in the box, his dribbling, passing, shooting, and vision already place him among the best players in the world. And if he's doing this at 17, what will he be at 22? At 25? Does he even have a ceiling? Because this season wasn't just brilliant, it was a direct challenge to Real Madrid's Galactico narrative. Lamine didn't just shine, he exposed and humiliated the most expensive squad in the world. He took trophies from them, he left them speechless. Vinicius, outplayed. Bellingham, silenced. Mbappe, outshone. Lamine Yamal was the protagonist in every one of Barca's 4 wins over Madrid this season. 4 Clásicos, 4 victories, 4 masterclasses signed by him. We've seen this story before. Ronaldinho and Messi also danced over Galacticos. It was Ronnie versus Zidane, Figo, Ronaldo, Nazario, and Beckham. Then came Messi versus Cristiano, Bale, Benzema, Modric, Kroos, Casillas. And now it's Lamine Yamal versus Mbappe, Bellingham, Valverde, Vinicius, Rodrigo, and company. History repeats itself, and it always smells of La Masia and tastes like humiliation for Madrid.
Has traído al Barça la sonrisa de Ronaldinho, es decir, la ilusión. Tienes un juego tremendamente comparable al de Neymar. Y si consigues la estabilidad, o sea, el objetivo es conseguir también la regularidad de fútbol y de títulos de Messi.
Bueno, el objetivo es conseguir la mía. Al final yo creo que quiero ser yo mismo, quiero ser mi historia, mi jugador, entonces no no miro a otro, ojalá tenerla obviamente, porque Messi es un jugador increíble, para mí el mejor jugador de la historia, pero quiero tener la mía, mi regularidad y mi juego.
Lamine Yamal's already surpassing what Lionel Messi achieved at 17, in goals, in assists, in trophies, in impact. And this isn't about saying Lamine has humiliated the greatest of all time. On the contrary, it's about recognising just how impossible his rise has been. Even Leo hadn't reached this level of dominance at that age. That's what makes Lamine so remarkable. At just 17, he's not just shining, he's going toe-to-toe with football's biggest ghosts, competing with Messi's legacy, with Pele's myth, with the expectations of a fan base that's seen the very best. And the most incredible part, he seems to have it all. The talent, the football IQ, the technique, the flair, the mentality. But there's one thing that separates a football genius from an eternal legend: consistency. That will be the test that defines his place in history, because it's not about lighting it up at 17, it's about doing it at 18, at 20, at 25, at 30. That's what made Messi great, and it's also what crushed the dreams of so many once promising stars, like Ansu Fati, whose explosive start was cut short by injuries and time. Lamine knows it. He said it himself. He doesn't want to be the next Messi. He wants to be the first Lamine Yamal. And if he stays on this path, if his body holds up, if his mind stays strong, then maybe, just maybe, we're witnessing the only player capable of reaching and surpassing the two greatest of all time. Can Lamine Yamal surpass Messi and Pele? History won't answer that tomorrow. But today, he's already started writing it.